Hello and welcome to episode 29 of Newysports TV. I am Ty Stedman. It is 11:30 at night, so we're going to get straight into it as normal. That's every single week. That's how this normally works. We're going to go back to yesterday. Normally I do the Saturday bit and then do the Sunday bit, so it's all going to be done in one session here, I guess you can call this. So we've got a lot to get through. Yesterday, Cookshill United's under-17, it was Cookshill versus Singleton, by the way. It was Singleton versus Cookshill for those purists out there like me who OCD forces me to put the home team first. The Singleton Strikers played Cookshill United at Howe Park. In the under-17s, Cookshill United a must-win fixture. They had to win to stay in the finals. And Wallsend played Belswans yesterday, so we're sort of going to talk about those two results at the same time because they play hand in hand. So Cookshill's finals hopes, first of all the result here, Singleton Strikers 0 defeated by Cookshill United 3. Cookshill's finals hopes are on the line in the 17s, as I said. A very slow start to the game as Singleton wrestled some momentum away from the visitors early on. Cookshill looking a bit poor at the start, a bit nervy I guess. The Strikers were near enough full strength. Can only think of one or two players that didn't play yesterday for them. Corey Henderson played his first home game since recovering from a very nasty head injury. He wasn't expected back this season, so it was good to see him play the last two games, and he did very well actually. For what it was worth, the tables turned in the 10th minute. I'm not sure if we're going to have the highlights yet. I don't know if I have the time to edit in the highlights. If not, I'm going to mention the goal times and all that, so you can go onto the match video and find these for yourselves. In the 10th minute, Hamish Anderson's dangerous back pass forced goalkeeper Brad Fairclough, Singleton of course, to scramble, and he wouldn't be able to force off the incoming attackers. That's a bad spelling mistake there. Campbell Guest stole possession and passed it into an empty net. That's why this shouldn't be scripted, but it sort of is. Fairclough, fair measure. It was not the smartest of back passes. Brad Fairclough, not his best game yesterday, and this was one of a few mistakes from the keeper. Guesty probably won't score an easier goal than that this year. Well, he won't, because their season, we'll talk about what happened to their season. We're not going to go into it yet, but that goal turned the game on its head, really. Singleton all thought over the next 5 to 10 minutes Cookshill should have been 2 up, maybe even 3 up for those that are, real clinical about it. It should have been 2-0 though. Cookshill put in enormous pressure on, but Singleton worked their way back into it. It was trouble for them dealing with the likes of Cameron Walmsley, but they had the likes of Hamish Mayled, to be fair, who was causing a bit of trouble. In the 28th minute, Brad Fairclough dropped an in-swinging corner, scrambled to kick it to momentary safety, not far enough. Toby Mellon got on the end of it, went for glory, and it only just went wide. Fairclough happy not to see that one go in. News of a scoreless half-time at Belswans versus West Wallsend had Cookshill fired up. Wallsend I should say. Anything but a win for Wallsend would have allowed Cookshill to jump them into the top 4. So here we go. A dangerous corner in the 50th minute from Damon White ended up being scrambled in the box. Eli Collins got it to Fergus Allen. Bit of just mayhem there, a lot of people in the box, as you would have in a corner. Good corner from White. Good assist by Eli Collins, and a good point-blank finish from Fergus Allen. They'd wrap up the 3 points in decent style as Damon White again crossed it in. Another good cross, this time a free kick. It'd go over the defenders and the keepers. I don't know, that should just be keeper, Brad Fairclough there. To the captain, Michael Dalton at the back post, 3-0 in the 72nd minute, and game over. But Wallsend, we'll talk about their result later. Wallsend would win. So Cookshill, of course, we're now on Sunday night. You probably know the Kahibah result, or you would. But Cookshill needed Kahibah to drop points. Anyway, Cookshill got the win there. They did their job, and we'll talk about the Kahibah result later on. For Singleton, they end the season with some poor results, but a lot of positives with a few players enjoying a breakout season. Trey Proudlock comes to mind. Big improver from last year to this year. James Croucher's had a decent year, on and off at times. Hamish Anderson's been strong. Fairclose, learned a lot in goals, so there's a lot of positives there for the Singleton strikers in the 17s. In the 19s, Singleton strikers 3 defeated by Cookshill United 6. It's that time of year, isn't it, where neither team's in finals contention. It's either going to end 0-0 or it's going to end 6-3. That's what happens at this time of the year. Teams just, just a casual. There was 9 goals scored. 9 goals scored. It sounds like an entertaining game, but really, I don't think it was. It wasn't that good technically, and it was just 9 goals. But I've seen scoreless draws probably play out better technically than this one did. But some of the goals though made up for it. Neither team in finals contention, as I said. Cookshill looking to end a 3-month winless run. Let's talk about the Cookshill 19s now. We're going to go off script here. They played yesterday. They had 5 players in the warm-up. That was it for the Cookshill 19s, which, look, I'm not going to stop any short of saying that's embarrassing, really. There's a couple that couldn't make the trip to Singleton or whatever, but look, the start of the year, I think they had 11 19s players, and then the rest were bench from the 17s or whatever. Players that they've just got it all wrong. The Cookshill 19s, Giles Boyd, great coach, but the structure they had this year, the lineups they went with, they didn't have enough players to last the season, and it's been completely made obvious. You only need to look at a club like Lakes. Lakes they're strong across all grades, so maybe not the best example, but Kahibah 19s, it's not very often they have to go and borrow 9 17s players. That's how many Cookshill had to borrow from the 17s yesterday, which really, I know it's the end of the year and they haven't won in 3 months, but that's a little bit much for my liking. They've definitely got to sign some more players next year, or not sign, but sign, but they're not getting paid, but at that level, but they definitely need to have more players registered next year, although the competition's going to be restructured, so at the end of the day they don't really have to worry, but that was not a good look, and I thought they'd get smashed by a Singleton team even without Nathan Hall in there. Look, there's Hawley is their best player, but got Oliver Moody in there, and I don't know if Nathan Smart played yesterday. I don't remember, but he's been good lately. Tyler Felsh, players like that can really threaten. Anyway, let's get into the game. 1-0 in the 11th minute. Michael Dalton scored despite a save from Jeremy Wild. Cook still taking the lead. Mere moments later, Jesse McAway scored from a tight angle. Really good goal for him. Oliver Moody had a chance after some horrible Cookshill defending, but it was saved well by Eamon Doyle, another 17s player backing up. The 17s goalie had a good day yesterday. We'll talk about him a bit more later on. The Cookers wrestled back control, my favourite word, and would regain the lead through boom youngster Ty Cousins. All the momentum with the away side. Chances were spurned left, right and centre. Michael Dalton had a chance. Eli Collins had a chance. Jared Neal had a chance. 2 chances. 3 chances. A lot of chances. Cookshill 2-2 right on half time as Singleton, Tully Windsor scored to draw Singleton level. Really, Cookshill should have been probably 2 ahead by this point. Those chances just proving costly. James Croucher was rewarded for a quality match in the 17s. I thought he really did well yesterday. He came off the bench in the 19s. Singleton looking decent. Cookshill got the lead back though. A rebound for Cameron Worpsley. Try not to fall asleep here. Cameron Walmsley scored that. I don't know how many that is for the season. He's Cooksill's top goal scorer. His first shot straight at the keeper, but no saving the second. Tyler Felsh scored 2 minutes later to again draw Singleton level 3-3. It was one of those games. And then Cooksill ran away with it. The 7th goal, and at that point the best goal of the game saw Cameron Walmsley bag his 22nd goal of the season. That's where it would end for Cameron Walmsley unless he plays 23s in the finals. Not long after, Jared Neal finally found the back of the net. Finally, after several chances, Cooksill 5-3. And then right at the end, Fergus Allen, a delightful shot that smashed the bar, or the post I should say. Moments later, a cracking finish from Jared Neal made up for that miss. A good goal for Neal, and the second of 3 goals for him. We'll talk about his other goal, which was the best goal of the day, later in the day. Cooksill 6-3 winners in the under-19s, and I didn't think I'd say that again this year. 3 months without a win. They end the season with a positive, and even Singleton will probably think that's, Singleton will be disappointed, but for a team to go 3 months without a win, I think even Singleton will say, good for them. At least they get to enjoy it one more time, I guess. A barren spell for Cooksill that was ended yesterday, and with majority of them being under 17s players. That's absolute quality. Singleton go down as a team that could but didn't. I think that's a fair statement. They looked really good at the start of the year. From the first pre-season game, I thought this is a serious team. They won their first game of the season 7-0. They've been flogged. They've flogged teams. It's been up and down. They haven't been consistent enough against higher opposition. They've had a couple sketchy results against low opposition, and again that just proves costly. And that is how their season will end. A decent season though, some good standout breakout players. Nathan Hall, a huge year for him, and Nick Huff as well in the under-19s. The defender has had an absolutely quality year. And in the under-23s, this is how it panned out. Singleton Strikers 1, defeated by Cooksill United 2. Not too much written about this one, but a fairly entertaining matchup, to be honest, in the 23s. 1-0 to Cooksill in the 11th minute, just like the other game. This time Barton Jones had a moment to forget for Singleton, whether it be an attempted back pass or an attempt to play the ball out for a corner. It would end up rolling past Ryan Geho, the goalkeeper, and into the net. And for those who are on the computer or whatever, go to the album for this game, the photo album, Singleton and Cooksill in the 23s. There's some good photos of Geho just death staring Barton Jones, the goalkeeper, not pleased. It does happen though, and Ryan Geho would know that. He's seen it all in his 200 plus games, but disappointing to go behind Barton Jones. Not obviously a poor moment, but there's nothing you can really do about an own goal. Just have to get on with it. All in all, a fairly even first half. Both sides with chances that were spurned, to be honest. A very muddy and patchy surface to describe it at Howe Park. Cooksill with the better of the ball, but Singleton looking dangerous. In the 48th minute though, Ben Fraulich, the young fullback for Cooksill, who has probably been the most improved player at Cooksill this year, from where he was at the start of the year, and he was good at the start of the year, like where he is now, just a brilliant player. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him play in NPL next season. Played a more advanced role yesterday and had his brightest moment of the season, scoring just an awesome goal from long range. Saw the goalkeeper was off his line, took the goal, and one of the best goals you'll see this year by Ben Fraulich. I wish it was on film. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Singleton kept in it. Midfielder Tom Golding did a decent job, regular 19s player, but did well in the 23s. Ty Cousins, he could play every game. Ty Cousins kept his workload going, had a quality shot that just missed. and with 5 minutes to go, Rob Field scored to put Singleton back into it, and then a late free kick to James Bates gave him a slight sniff, but it wasn't to be, as Cookshill secured a place in the top 2 that would be taken off of them today though. Cookshill, big rendition of the team song, and into the finals they go. First grade, Singleton Strikers 2, drawing Cookshill United 2. Cookshill's season, I don't think season from hell would be the right definition to describe it. That's probably Toronto, to be fair. But Cookshill, though, it has been shambles at times, absolute shambles. There's probably been 3 different eras. Of course, there was the Blake Glennie era with Mark Trenner as technical director, and then Mark Trenner left and Blake Glennie was just the coach and he was the top dog, and then Blake left and now Mal Hinchcliffe is coach. That right there is just a lot of turmoil, for better or for worse. A lot of turmoil off the field. Coaches, the coach leaving, the technical director leaving, players leaving, some quality, or should have been quality players that left the club that maybe didn't do as well as they should have. Just a lot of turmoil at Cookshill this year, and for them yesterday, they just wanted to restore some pride and promote youth, and did a good job of that. But again, their year, just like any other Cookshill game this year, things weren't going their way from the get-go. In the warm-up, I was about to go announce the teams, and I looked over and I saw a Cookshill player just limping with his sock off, and it would later turn out to be Mal Hinchcliffe, the captain coach, who arrived late at the game, and I think he normally straps up his ankle, and he didn't do that, and he rolled his ankle pretty much instantly. A tough way to end the season for the skipper. Big Mal, he didn't really care too much. I think he's seen it all, he's done it all. But he probably would have been disappointed with that, but not exactly crying about not playing or anything like that. But I thought it was a disappointing way for Mal to end the season. He's been good this year, but that's what happens there. The opening goal came with some controversy. I'm not sure if the highlights are going to be showed here, but again, you can go and look this up. In the 5th minute, Nathan Hall for Singleton seemingly handled the ball. And I say seemingly, and when I say that, I mean he did handle the ball. And if you see these highlights, yes, that is me there. That's me on the highlights blowing up, because I was there watching Cookshill play. It was a handball. And this is what troubles me, because less than a minute later, Jackson Cox was placed through by a good ball from Mats France. Hope that's sort of attempted German. Cookers captain Jack Wilson tracked well. He slid in, but the ball somehow got in past Emerson Gosling. Gosling's a good keeper. I don't really want to put too much, I don't want to say anything negative, but I think he should have saved this one, really. Looking at the replay and that, and the angle it was at, I don't know, maybe it was, 5% chance of it going in from that angle, so unlucky for the keeper. But yeah, look, Singleton, that was a handball in the build-up, and it did happen. It happened less than a minute later, but if that handball gets called, then all momentum's gone. Cookshill's got the ball, so it is what it is, though. It'd be an understatement to say, though, that Singleton were in control. That goal threw the match plan out the window for Cookshill, and they were looking like sitting ducks for a few moments as the likes of Kieran Burrell and Nathan Hall simply toyed with them. The visitors withstood the pressure. I don't know if I've mentioned it in this one. Early on, about the 10th minute, Kieran Burrell, Singleton's most technical player, he was hacked by Emerson Orgie for Cookshill, and I say that as someone from Cookshill. It should have been a yellow card, it wasn't. If you see the replay here, it was in the 10th minute. Emerson Orgie's just coming from behind, and it's a yellow card any day of the week. So that sort of put Kieran Burrell off a little bit. But Thomas Spare, though, Cooks Hill's most threatening player, used his blitzing pace to meet goalkeeper Stewie Plant in a 50-50 contested ball situation after a pretty risky back pass from Zane Hand. The keeper booted it downfield towards Dan Palozzi. Palozzi just sort of expecting to just control it and turn. He definitely didn't expect Jared Neal, the fullback for Cooks Hill, to come from nowhere, steal the ball and fire an absolute screamer that left Stewie Plant clutching at nothing as he dived backwards and couldn't keep it out. This was just pinpoint perfect. Goal of the round and potentially one of the goals of the season. Andre Gumprecht has something to say about that though, but wow, what a goal for Jared Neal. You might see it here. It's on the Facebook page as the goal of the day anyway. A great moment for him to cap off what has been a brilliant season. 21st minute goal that was for Cooks Hill to draw level. 2 minutes later they took the lead again here. A lot of work done by Spare. Stewie Thompson headed it on after a goal kick. In fall to Jackson Huff, the fullback for Singleton, and again another back pass. My tip, season's over now, but for people next year, wherever Tommy Spare is, do not pass it back to the keeper if Tommy Spare is on the field, because this is just going to keep happening. So Jackson Huff goes to pass it to Stewie Plant, but again Tommy Spare uses his pace, beats Plant to the ball, rounds Plant and puts it into an empty net. A brilliant day for Tommy Spare, and there's been times this year where I've sat there and thought, why isn't he just using his pace, because he's got so much of it. He could be the fastest player in the competition. Not sure on that one. Singleton threatened. As I said, Kieran Burrell wasn't at his best after being hacked down early on, but he was still doing pretty well. Jackson Cox also looking very tidy on the ball, the Singleton captain. The strikers would get themselves a very soft penalty in the 39th minute. And you know, of course I'm going to say that because from Cooks Hill or whatever, but no, seriously, if this was any other game, neutral game or whatever, Peyton Tagarulius, he did stick a leg out, but Palozzi really, he went to ground fairly easily here. A little bit harsh, but fair call, I guess. Contact was made, but I've seen those not given sometimes. Jackson Cox stepped up to take the chance, and most times you'd back in from 12 yards. I was doing the PA work, so I pulled out the microphone ready to announce it, and it didn't go in. Not the best penalty, and parried away by Emerson Gosling. Nathan Hall had a follow-up attempt that just went into the hands of the goalkeeper. Cooks Hill have been known to shoot themselves in the foot this year at times. In the 54th minute they did just that, in what was described at the ground by someone as a comedy of errors, and I quite like that saying. Here we go. I don't know if it's going to be on the highlights, I don't know if we're doing the highlights, but anyway, this is what it is. Nathan Hall's shot was saved by an outstretched leg of goalkeeper Emerson Gosling. Then Hall got the ball back. He found an unmarked Dan Palozzi, whose left-footed shot was one of the worst hits I've seen this season. It went to Cookers fullback Jared Neal, who'd struggled with it and for some unknown reason tried to pass it across goal straight towards Jackson Cox. Just as Jackson Cox was readying himself to put it in, Nathan Hall popped up and stole the goal from his captain to grab a 2-2 scoreline. Absolute shambles from Cooks Hill. Just, I don't know what they were thinking there. A fairly strange ref game, as I said earlier, that card missed by Emerson Augie. I thought the referee, both sides, got lucky. I thought there should have been a few yellows here. Only the one given to Stewie Thompson, who will miss 3 games next season. And we're going to talk about that real quickly. It was his 7th yellow card of the season, and he will miss 3 games at the start of next year. Look, that's crap. I don't know if that's a Northern rule or an FFA rule or what that is, but that's just, you know, that is really, really poor. I don't like it how they miss 5 yellow cards. That's a suspension. That's fair enough. but then you get a 6 and you get 2 games. 7 means 3. I don't like that, and I especially don't like it carrying on to next year. It shouldn't carry over to next year. And it might not anyway, because it's going to be called the NPL, not the new FM League. But again, it's a premier competition, so I don't know. But I don't like that rule at all. And even if it wasn't a Cooks Hill player, you know, there's guys at Kahibah, there's guys at Wallsend who in the same sort of boat. I don't like that. Next year's a new year. You shouldn't be carrying over cards and free game suspensions from this season. Anyway, handballs were missed for both sides. Both teams denied a clear-cut penalty. I haven't actually looked at the 2 penalty incidents. I couldn't find them on the video. I didn't have the time, but Singleton's one was definitely a penalty in the second half. They were denied that. And then so it finished 2-2. Singleton finished the season with a frustrating draw. They would have wanted more from that at home. A slow start cost them any significant chance of making finals. A good run in the FA Cup, and a lot to build on for David Willoughby up there at Singleton. Breakout year for the likes of Nathan Hall, Jackson Skinner. You know, that's what it's all about at Singleton. Rumours they might be losing 1 or 2 players. Stewie Plant was one of those rumours, so we'll see what happens there. But Singleton, team to watch next year. Cooks Hill have gone through several changes and lineups and just a mess of a season. They end it with some pride in a 2-2 draw at a very tricky ground to go to. We'll move on to Belmont Swansea versus Wallsend FC yesterday. In the under-17s, this was an important fixture. Wallsend needing a win to secure finals football, and they did just that with 10 minutes to go. Approximately 10 minutes ago, Jacob Ray scoring the only goal of the game, just send Wallsend into the semi-finals and really frustrate Cooks Hill. Belswans end the season with some experience gained and some emerging talent at the club. Jacob Windsor, Lachlan McMaster, Will Dunn, some good players in that team, and they'll be better for it next season, playing in the under-18s competition most likely. In the under-19s, Belmont Swansea 4 defeating Wallsend FC 0 and keeping their premiership hopes on track. We'll talk about the Lakes result later on. For Belswans, too good for Wallsend. Wallsend, it's been a frustrating year, tough to say the least. Belswans get the win, 2 goals to Will Dundas. Arch Johnson got 1 and Rory Madison got the other. Joel Nicholson played and did not score, which is a rarity in the 19s, especially when they get 4 goals. In the 23s, Belmont Swansea 0, defeated by Wallsend FC 1. Big result for Wallsend, too little too late though for the finals. But Belswans, they were on the brink today. They still potentially could have dropped out of the finals. They didn't, but they don't finish in the top 2. And it was Cody Simpson who scored for Wallsend. They're the only goal of the game. And that's that. Decent way to end the year for Wallsend, but a season where they should have but didn't, I think is the best way to describe it. In first grade, Belmont Swansea 2 defeated Wallsend FC 1. Belswans, from what I've heard, were looking all over the shop early on, and they went down early on. Jake Capratos scoring that opening goal for Wallsend FC. Half-time prep talk worked wonders, and Belswans came out firing in the second half. Club captain Joel Shearer bagged a goal, but the moment of the day was the winning goal for the club's young standout Golden Boot winner Joel Nicholson, winning them the game. The 16-year-old scoring in first grade and winning the game for Belswans and sealing a top 2 finish. They'll host the second week of finals in 2 weeks' time, and as a result they finish second, Wallsend in 4th, and they host Lake Macquarie City next weekend in the first semi-final. Rightio, we'll go to today's results as I try and find them. This is the way it looked today. Also yesterday, just a shout out in Zone League, the Westlake Wildcats defeated Hamilton Olympic and have put one hand on the minor premiership in Zone League 2. there's a shout out for you. Alright, these are the results for Sunday. Kahibah FC versus Toronto. Awaba was the main game today on Newysports. And I tell you what, this game here, the under-17s, Kahibah FC 2 defeating Toronto, Awaba 1. This was grand final-like atmosphere, this one. The situation was clear for Kahibah with Cooks Hill winning yesterday. They would have known that, they would have known that overnight. They would have known that going to bed last night, that this was a must-win game. As serious as it gets, and the team just looked so prepared. Tony Belswans done a great job this season. On the field though, it wasn't their best day. I didn't think it was their best day. Toronto with the best chance early on as they came out firing. Kahibah looking nervy. Nick Woodman smashed a shot off the crossbar in the 8th minute after Luke Gibbons had a bit of an air swing, but Woodman definitely made up for that. I don't know, Gibbons might have buried his chance, so I'm not sure if that proved costly. Kahibah worked their way into it, and in the 24th minute Henry Gibson gave them the lead after all this credit here, like Gibson's goal, but all the credit to Kai Condon for a really nice individual sort of run in behind, and then the cross, well not the cross but the square ball to Gibson, who tucked it into the net. A large contingent of Cooks Hill 17s players were there watching their finals hopes fade as Kahibah put the pressure on. The green and blacks were the better of the two sides on a very heavy and muddy pitch at Kahibah Oval. That they had to mark the ground just before kick-off. The referees were actually 50-50 about playing the game today, so very close to getting called off. In the 54th minute, Toronto fullback Rory Jamieson defended well against a much bigger player, Joseph Haddon, but he was guilty of a back pass to Jackson Bartlett. Toronto held on though as Kahibah's set play was blocked. In the 61st minute, Dan Baker crossed it in. It was missed by Charlie Atkinson for Toronto, and it fell to John Ridgeon, who scored, sneaked it into the back post. And Atkinson, again, you're probably happy that he didn't connect with it, because it was Ridgeon who scored that one and put Toronto on level terms and sent the Cooks Hill portion of the crowd into some celebrations. The telling moment of the game though, and I was there. I was disappointed to see this happen as a Cooks Hill person, but I tell you what, you could not take it away. You couldn't go away from the atmosphere here. This was quite something. Kahibah's season-defining moment came in the 74th minute. Toronto's Tylan Winslade, I thought he could have done a better job here. I think he played both these players on side from my angle. Probably should have just stepped up and played the offside trap. He did well to try and stop Henry Gibson from passing the ball, but as soon as Gibson got a touch to it, it was Pat Waller completely unmarked, one-on-one with the keeper, and in it would go. Pat Waller, the unlikely hero for Kahibah FC in the 17s. 6 minutes remaining, 2-1. Some argy-bargy towards the end. Seb Krecker, probably not very good, not smart with the semi-finals not next week. Don't really want to be risking anything stupid towards the end. Luke Gibbons involved, of course, from Toronto. Connor Brady did a good job for Toronto at sort of diffusing a few situations, as did some of the Kahibah players. Seb Krecker subbed straight off. Tony Belson just keeping a lid on it. Good job there. Professional for both teams, really. Nothing stupid really out of it. Just a bit of nothing, really. A couple cards at the end, and that was it. The final whistle, and Kahibah FC get into the semi-finals in the under-17s. They have done it. After last week's massive win, they've done it again. They love the late win. It's happened so many times in the last few months, the late wins, and now they head into the semi-finals at the expense of Cooks Hill. I am going to say though that Kahibah not sure they deserved the win today in the 17s. You know, they did the job, and this is, I even spoke to someone at the club about this. Well, they did enough to get the win, but it wasn't a very good performance. I think they've got better in them, and I think they'll bring better in the semi-finals. And what I'm trying to say is that they need more next week against Lake Macquarie City. Lakes are no joke, and you know, Toronto is no joke, but Lakes in the semi-final is a whole new level. They'll need a lot more. They're going to need to be on for both legs of that semi-final, so a lot of pressure there for Kahibah 17s. They've got to the finals now. What can they do with it? All they need to do is look at Cooks Hill last season and what they did to Kahibah last year. Finished 4th and knocked them out on away goals and got to the grand final. Alright, we move to the under-19s. Kahibah FC 2 defeating Toronto Awaba 0. Toronto out to avoid the wooden spoon. They had a trustworthy pair of hands in goals. Daniel March, the regular first grade keeper, still young, so he played the 19s. And yeah, just his confidence and his communication, just a massive boost for that team. William Stevenson was also a surprise inclusion and played the majority of the game off the bench, less than a month after collapsing on the field. Very serious moments. Not that long ago at Toronto, and it was a big surprise to see him on the bench. Even bigger surprise to see him play the majority of the game. He came on in about the 20th minute or so, and then he got subbed off with about 10 minutes to go, and he looked very bad at the end of the game. They had a couple of people walking with him, and to be honest, I really appreciate and I recognise the brilliance of him being back so soon after collapsing on the field and all that, but really I don't think he should have played. Obviously they were confident, you know, they're not going to put him out there if they're not confident about it, but I wouldn't have risked it, you know, at this stage of the season. You know, it was still not, yeah, it seemed like a massive risk to me. A couple of people thought the same. But to his fairness, he did well, and hopefully he's not feeling too bad after that game today. Kahibah also mixed up their team a little bit. Blake Gates started in goals. I read out the team sheet, I saw Brock Turner's name at the top, and I just said that he was in goals, but he wasn't. Brock Turner was up front, the regular goalkeeper. So that was weird, and then in the 11th minute it got a lot weirder because Brock Turner scored. A cool finish from the keeper, turned striker, and one that fired Kahibah ahead. 22 minutes in, Liam Tyndall scored a goal to double the lead for Kahibah. They were on the front foot, and that's how it would stay at half-time. In the second half, really much of the same, just Kahibah in control. Couple of good saves from Daniel March. Campbell Hine worked brilliantly to leave a defender or two behind. Couldn't break his goal duck though. Forced a quality save though from Daniel March. Toronto fought hard. I thought one of their best efforts this year. You know, at this stage of the year, the season's over, but they did well. They can't avoid the wooden spoon though. Kahibah head into the finals with Belswans awaiting next weekend at Kahibah. In the under-23s, Kahibah FC 2 drawing Toronto Awaba 2. Must-win football for Kahibah 23s, who also needed South Cardiff to lose. So we're going to talk about both results at the same time. It got off to a horror start as a quality ball from Tyler Ossington for Toronto found Luke Maloney, and he would cross it into Luke Gibbons. Second minute of the game, and Luke Gibbons scores a header for the first time ever. The shortest player on the field scoring a header. I'm not sure what Kahibah did here to let that happen. Good cross from Maloney though, you can't take that away from him. And I thought also good vision from Ossington to pick out Maloney down the line. Very well worked team goal from Toronto. And again, this team sat dead last on 5 points, so they weren't really playing for anything but pride, and they did a very good job of that today. I was very impressed with Toronto's 23s and the way they handled it today. The lead wouldn't last long though. A brilliant turn, just brilliant. Jacob Hill getting the ball and just spinning around, leaving the defender for nothing. And he'd get the ball in towards Ruben Ryan, who would bury the chance, just got a right foot onto it. 6 minutes in, 1-1, Ruben Ryan scoring that goal. In the 14th minute, a strike from Brendan Hayes bounced on the goal line. Kahibah appealing for a goal, but it was ruled out. I had a pretty crappy angle of this. I didn't think there was too much in it. I looked at the replay and I still can't really, I don't think there was anything in it. The lineswoman, I think, got that one right. Then a 17th minute chance for Toronto, Luke Maloney. It was saved well by Simon Frary in goals. Kahibah took a valuable lead in the 32nd minute. Alex Evans, of all people, scoring a left-footed goal. That's a bit different. Beat the keeper Ian Roberts and put the home side into a vital lead. Although news filtering through from Southie's game, they were leading 2-1 against Lakes. 38th minute though, another turning point. Luke Gibbons' corner was scrambled in the box, and then Sim Hamisi, the captain for Toronto, he had the right idea. He just got onto it and just absolutely smashed it in the back of the net. Nothing you can do about that. Toronto 2-2. Kahibah worried at the halftime break, and Kahibah gave me the message they didn't want any more scores from South Cardiff announced over the PA system. So that stuck in the second half. The second half wasn't the best, as neither team could find a grip hold on the game. Kahibah had the better of the chances, I thought. Apart from that, no goals or anything like that. The main highlight or low light of the second half was a handball outside the box for Ian Roberts, the goalkeeper. A couple people said maybe red or whatever, but the Kahibah attacker was probably a bit too far away. The keeper though getting yellow carded. Nothing resulted from the free kick. The indirect free kick, I should say. I think it was indirect, I'm not sure. That's how it would stay. Kahibah let their finals hopes slip away. It wouldn't have mattered anyway because South Cardiff won. South Cardiff went up 3-1, and I just ran down to the Kahibah bench and told their coaching staff. They didn't tell the players. I told a few people in the crowd, so the players didn't know. They didn't really want to know, and that's fair enough. I don't mind that, but at the end of the day, they didn't do the job that they needed to do to even make it happen. They still could have got in potentially if they had won by 5 or more goals, but that would have been asking a lot. And they didn't win anyway, so they don't do enough. And Kahibah FC are out of the 23s. And I tell you what though, so from where they were at the start of the year, I think they lost their first 5 games. And I think they went, I'm not sure, they might even be 18 games undefeated, I heard someone say today. That might not be right, I don't know, but look, they've had a brilliant season, Kahibah's 23s. They've come from absolutely nothing to finish proudly. Not making the finals, of course, will be disappointing, but I tell you what a performance it's been nonetheless. In first grade today, Kahibah FC 4 defeating Toronto Wabba 1. Their performance last week, Kahibah absolute shambles at times, and they had some key players out, and they had players out again today. Andre Gumprich joined some of those big name players like Ash Ilfield. So still a strong lineup though. You know, when you've still got Matt Lee, Jaden Demir and Jared Penfold as your attacking threats, you're going to be a chance in any game. Yes, they've got young guys like Bailey Chaplin, who admittingly is one of my favourite players at the club. So it's good to see Bailey Chaplin in first grade, but whether he's ready to be a first grade starting player week in, week out or not is, I don't think he is, but definitely a bench player. But yeah, the likes of Gumprich and Ilfield on the sideline, that's massive. Like Ilfield especially, he's a quality player. Gumprich's leadership. So they had a few out today, Kahibah, and it got off to the worst possible start as Tim Salter buried a chance for Toronto in just the 3rd minute. I'm quite impressed with Tim Salter. You know, the Toronto guys haven't got too much of a mention this year. Hasn't been a good year, but Tim Salter looks a decent player on his day. And the Stags, you know, they're looking to crash Old Boys Day at Kahibah Oval. They did the same at Cooks Hill not that long ago. As mentioned, young gun Bailey Chaplin started for Kahibah, but it was another youngster and fellow product of the International Football School, Josh Spencer, who put in a quality cross for Jaden Demir to bury, only for it to be ruled out by the offside flag. I didn't have the best angle. The camera didn't have the best angle. Oh, this game wasn't filmed anyway, so yeah, I don't know on that one. Fair enough, you know, it does happen. Probably was offside, you know. The linesmen, you know, they normally do get it right more often than not. It was an even start to the matchup, and I tell you what, a quality effort from the Stags, you know. I've seen them look so bad at times this year, but they definitely looked even, you know. Kahibah worked their way into the match. They grabbed an equaliser after Jaden Demir scored on the back of a Jared Penfold rebound. Penfold had a chance of his own not long after that, and then Brendan Trummell should have buried a chance not long after that. But as I said, Kahibah and Toronto looking even at half-time. After the break, Toronto came closest to scoring early on. Danny Wills hammered a shot against the post. Not long after that, Brendan Trummell again missing an absolute sitter. I think he missed 2 or 3 today that he should have scored. He should have scored at least 1. Not a good day for Brendan Trummell in front of the net. Kahibah took the lead though. Jared Penfold, he doesn't normally miss the target. Fired home a chance in the 61st minute. 8 minutes later he'd score again. And then Kahibah's day, Toronto's day really rounded out with an unfortunate own goal from Corey Brown. A day that sums up Toronto Awabba's season. A quality first half effort though, take nothing away, but they fell away in the second half. It's been a very poor year, and the rebuilding phase is in progress. So there's a lot to look forward to in 2017 at the Stags. And I tell you what, one of the best community clubs in the competition. You know, all their players just supporting first grade and stuff. It's great to see, win, lose or draw. And you know, if Toronto can get some success going, they're just going to go through leaps and bounds. You know, obviously success builds clubs. You know, you're not going to become a huge club if you're going to lose every game. Toronto probably understand that. It's not all about results, so it's about development and stuff, but results are key, and I think Toronto next year are going to be one to watch. I really, really do. If they can get a good coach, some of the coaches that are rumoured, we're not going to get into that now, but one coach in particular that's rumoured there, I think he could really build something there. For Kahibah, a quality day for the young squad. Nathan McCarter in defence, goods. Bailey Chaplin given another go, which was good to see. And I was happy to see Ruben Ryan from the under-23s team given a first grade debut after scoring a goal in the 23s. A player who's done well as of late. The last 2 games I've watched at Kahibah, he has 3 goals, so can't go wrong with that. The big guns will return next week. With all due respect, it's no joke next week. It's no dead rubber. It's no kick around, you know, put younger guys out there and stuff like that. With all due respect, as I said about players like Chaplin and Ryan, I'm big fans of theirs, but the big guns are back next week. Gumprecht, Ilfield, Kahibah versus Belswans, and Lakes versus Wallsend. I think it will be a good semi-final matchup, that one, but Kahibah and Belswans, this is something. This is going to be absolutely something. It was the game of the year in round 5, or when it was the first time they met. The second time probably wasn't as good, but that first game, if it's anything like that, then prepare yourselves for the best semi-final matchup in the New FM First Division in a long time. And the best part of it is it's over 2 legs, so we'll get to see it twice. A special mention though to Kahibah, who put on such a brilliant day today for their Old Boys Day and Breast Cancer Awareness Day. they raised $6,000 for the whole club, top to bottom, the whole club, juniors, all age, over 35s, women's teams, New FM, Zone League, the whole team wearing pink socks this week. I've still got my pink socks on. I have not changed yet. It's closer to 1 a.m. than it is to midnight at the moment, but yeah, the pink socks, just a great initiative. First grade wearing their pink strip, $6,000, and they'd raised $12,000 I think over 3 years. They raised $6,000 this year alone. That's a huge sum of money to raise for donation drive and whatnot. That's great work. And the weather played its course, played its part, I should say. It held off today, which was really good to see, because the ground, if any more rain, that could have been called off today. The ground was not very good, understandably. A huge crowd. I don't know exactly the numbers, 2, 3, maybe even 400. I don't know. I'm guessing 200 or 300 people there, all up. There was games on the other field. It was packed at Kahibah. I've never seen it that packed, and it was absolutely brilliant to see. And even Jets CEO Laurie McKenna was there to watch, an invited person to the game by the club. Of honour, I guess you could say. Had a quick chat, which was good to talk to Laurie, and great to see someone like that at a second tier game. I think he was at the Jaffers yesterday, so that's really what you want to see from the Jets, is them getting around and just making themselves seen in the community and building it up, and looking forward to repaying that and getting to a lot of Jets games this year, and hopefully seeing Laurie McKenna get a few wins down there at Gosford. That'd be absolutely brilliant, wouldn't it? That would be so good. That's a few months away though. But yeah, Kahibah today, absolutely brilliant. And that club just leaps and bounds. They just keep doing better and better. And it was, as I said, Old Boys Day, and the team song, all the players from the past are in there. It was the loudest team song I've heard all year anywhere, and it was just brilliant. And it's no secret that Kahibah's one of my favourite clubs in the competition. The way they operate there, the way they play, brilliant club, and a club that I'm still tossing up about where I'm going to be next year. There's probably going to be an announcement on that soon enough. A club that I've got a lot of time for, Kahibah. Okay, there was also another game played today. Lake Macquarie City hosted South Cardiff. Some big games here at Lakes as well. Minor premiership on the line in the 17s and 19s, and finals on the line for Southie in the 23s. So let's go through it. No Lake scorers as of yet, unfortunately. They normally send the scorers through, but they haven't sent them through today. Not sure why, but we'll try and get those. I got them for the 17s. We'll try and get them during the week for the higher grades. In the under 17s, Lake Macquarie City 5 defeated South Cardiff 0. I thought Lakes would win this, premiership on the line, but 5-0 is fairly humbling. I'm not sure what happened to Southie here. They're not normally that bad. As soon as I heard this scoreline, someone asked me at Kahibah, did Curtis McRitchie score? And I said 5-0, he probably scored 3 of them, and 2 others would have scored 1 each. That's exactly what happened. Curtis McRitchie got a hat-trick, 25 goals for the season, and was joined on the score sheet by Harry Taylor and Alex Matthews. Congratulations to Lake Macquarie City for winning the minor premiership, or the premiership as I like to call it, in the under 17s, and a congratulations to Curtis McRitchie for winning the Golden Boot in the under 17s. In the 19s, Lake Macquarie City 2 defeated South Cardiff 0. Just like the 17s, Lakes needed a win, and they got that. Don't have the goal scorers yet. A clean sweep of premierships. Unprecedented. I know the competition, it wasn't 4 grades until last year, but for 4 grade competition, for one team to win all the premierships, that is quite something. and they'll be looking to add the championships to that in a few weeks' time. Late Macquarie City, just all class. Brilliance for the 19s, and congratulations to everyone involved at that club for what is a special achievement with 4 trophies on their way. In the under-23s, the party was spoiled a little bit here by a desperate South Cardiff side. Late Macquarie City 3, defeated by South Cardiff 4. The Gunners needed a win more than anything today. That's all they needed to do was get a win, and they did just that. Trent Lambourne scoring 3 goals. Crucial day for Trent Lambourne, a hat-trick. Matt Parker scoring his first goal for the 23s this year. Big win for South Cardiff. They will play Cooks Hill United next weekend at Kahibah Oval, while Lakes will travel to the Gardens to play Belswans. Last but not least, in first grade, Old Boys Day finished with a bang for Lakes as they flex their muscles. Lake Macquarie City 5 defeating South Cardiff 1 in front of a massive crowd there at Macquarie Field. The Premiers flex their muscles easily, accounting for South Cardiff 5-1. Fairly convincing there. Disappointing for South Cardiff to finish the season like that. But one good positive note today, Josh Iannuzzo, the youngster, scored his first goal in the top grade from the penalty spot. Good to see some of these young players scoring their first ever first grade goals. There was 3 of them last week, and now Iannuzzo joins them. Southie 1, Lake Macquarie City 5. Lakes going to the Gardens next week to play Wallsend FC. Last year it was second versus third, but it's deja vu. Lakes last year, they will know all about semi-final football against Wallsend. I don't think you're going to see Lakes make the same mistake as they did last year, win the first leg and then get smashed in the second leg. They'll be treating this very seriously, and as exampled by the fact that they won 5-1 today when they really didn't need to they didn't need to do that. It's Old Boys Day, so obviously they're going to give it their all, but there's no casualness at that club, and there's a lot of seriousness, and they are going to be very, very threatening in the final series, I tell you that. We're going to end it early because Fortin versus Cessnock City, that was called off today. I still don't know. I'm not sure if that game's going to be rescheduled at all, because none of those games had anything to do with the final series. The wooden spoon's being decided in the 19s, so there is literally nothing about those games that means anything. Fortin's Golden Boot winner at the moment, it's Halverson and McAllister even. You know, that's Will Forbes trying to get 20 goals for Cessnock. That's about it. There's nothing writing on the results, so it wouldn't surprise me if these games just get swept under the rug and just don't get played. Obviously we'll get an answer to that. I don't think they'll get played, to be completely honest. So no surprise there at Fortin Park, the cricket pitch. You know, you want player safety over anything else. That's a smart decision. So yeah, that's about it. And there is a rumour going around, actually. I'm just going to quickly try and check some NPL schedules for next weekend, because I'm hearing a slight rumour. That's all it is, a slight rumour. You can just find it, and we'll see how we go. Bit of a venue rumour actually for next weekend in the final series. Well, there you go. I heard someone mention that Kahibah might be playing their finals next Saturday at Charlestown City's Lyle Carr Oval. That could work, but I've just checked, and Charlestown are playing Sunday next week at Lyle Carr in seniors, and their junior NPL teams are playing on the Saturday, so Kahibah FC will be playing at Kahibah Oval, unless Charlestown move their juniors to somewhere else and let Kahibah in, which I don't see the benefit in that. So Kahibah will be hosting semi-finals next Saturday, and it looks a little something like this. Off the top of my head, I'm not even going to look at anything on the screen. I'm going to do this off the top of my head. I'm going to try and do this off the top of my head. Kahibah FC versus Belswans. It is 3rd v 2nd. Trying to sort this computer out. It's not working. It's a failure. I'm just going to not look at the screen. In the 17s, it is Wallsend hosting West Wallsend. Away goals do count, so do make sure you make notice of who's hosting who. Wallsend hosting Westy in the 17s at Kahibah Oval next Saturday. Then in the 19s, it is Kahibah FC hosting Belswans Swansea United, 3rd v 2nd. In the under 23s, Cookshill United hosting South Cardiff, and in 1st grade, Kahibah FC hosting Belswans Swansea, just like the 19s. Away goals do count in all of those. And of course they'll be flipped for the return leg at Belswans a week after. Next Sunday at the Gardens looks a little something like this. In the under 17s, Wallsend FC... No, that's wrong. In the under 17s, Kahibah FC are hosting Lake Macquarie City. Kahibah won there just the other week. They'll have good memories at that ground. Big game for them. They'll want to avoid the away goals against Lakes. That could be crucial. That will be crucial. Lakes away goals in the 17s. Lakes away goals in every grade next week. Lakes are the away team. They are the premiers, of course, in every grade. In the 19s, it is West Wallsend versus Lake Macquarie City. In the 23s, it is Belswans versus Lake Macquarie City. And then in 1st grade, Wallsend hosting Lakes in the main game. Very, very interesting finals series. Some very good ties across those grades. The pick of the bunch is obviously Belswans and Kahibah in 1st grade. But I tell you what, the under 17s, Wallsend versus West Wallsend, that is going to be an absolute cracker of a finals series, that one. There's a couple that I think might be a little bit lopsided. Lakes against Westy in the 19s. I really think Lakes have the front foot there. I think that one could be very tough for Westy. As well as 1st grade, Wallsend versus Lakes. I really think Lakes, I think they're going to be very hard to beat. Wallsend, they've got to step up to another level. And I'm sure they will for finals. It's no joke anymore, you know. I'm not saying the competition was a joke, but it's a new competition, it's a new level, and it is serious business, finals football, and you will see teams step up to a new level that they didn't think they could reach. We'll see how it goes. I'll be back during the week with a lot of finals coverage. We'll be having a lot of stuff. Club Newysports, the live stream, some more players of the year for certain teams, some announcements about next season and stuff like that. Just a lot coming over the next few weeks. So keep an eye out. This has been episode 29 of Newysports TV. It's about half an hour shorter than what it normally is. But in saying that, it is 20 to 1 in the morning, so that's not good. Early start for me tomorrow, which is not good either, but this is how business is done around here at Newysports, but it happens. This has been episode 29 of Newysports TV. I am Ty Stedman. I will see you next week for the big episode 30 semi-final football. Here we come. See you next week.